morning, everyone. Today we are going to continue talking about author's perspective, which is how does the author feel about the topic they're writing about? What is the author's opinion about it? So we're going to start out today with making an organizer that you're going to use as you read to organize your thoughts. So I'm going to split this into two parts, and the left part is much smaller because most of my note taking will take place over here. And the first section of my organizer here, this is going to be marked author's opinion or perspective. And on the other side is going to be evidence. So you'll want to create this organizer in your notebook. And I'm going to come back to this as I read the article and fill things in. And even though author's perspective and opinion is over here on in the first column, I may not fill it in first. I'm going to want to read and think about what kinds of details and facts.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm also going to think about the author's tone. How does the author sound when discussing the topic? What kinds of facts or statistics do they give? Okay. So this is an organizer you're going to want to create in your notebook. Okay. So I'm going to use this article today. Okay, the rise of zero waste restaurants. Okay, so if I look at the caption here, a food spread at Radora, a zero waste restaurant in Brooklyn, New York. Okay, looks pretty tasty. I'm not sure what a lot of that is, but maybe we'll find out in the article. Okay, Radora is a restaurant in New York City. It does not have a garbage can. Radora simply doesn't create any waste. The restaurant does not allow any type of single-use plastic. It uses a shredder to rip cardboard boxes into tiny pieces that become compost. I'm not sure what that word is, so I'm going to highlight it so I can come back to it and figure out what that word means. Radora is not a one-of-a-kind restaurant. There is a growing number of zero-waste restaurants around the world. These restaurants aim to avoid not only food leftovers, but also any scrap of garbage. Food waste has become an issue for restaurants over the last 10 years or so, says Andrew Stephen. He runs the Sustainable Restaurant Association. The group helps restaurants become better for the environment. He said that food waste adds to the world's greenhouse gas emissions. Because of this, there is a push to reduce waste and help the environment. Okay, so far, the author has talked about a restaurant that's trying not to make any trash. These zero waste restaurants, there are more and more of them around the world. I like that. The restaurants are aiming to avoid not only food leftovers, but also any scrap of garbage. Food waste has become an issue. So this makes me sound like the author thinks that these kinds of restaurants are a good thing because food waste has become an issue. This group is helping restaurants become better for the environment. He says food waste adds to the world's greenhouse gas emissions. There's a push to reduce waste and help the environment. All right, so I'm going to come back over here to my organizer, and I'm going to put in this. I think this fact seems important. Food waste has become an issue over the last 10 years. I'm going to put that in my notes. Food waste become, and I'm just jotting notes. I'm not writing it exactly. over about 10 years. So just to save time, you see, I kind of paraphrased that. I made it a little more concise, so I'm not copying it exactly. Okay, let's go back and keep reading. Trying to get rid of garbage entirely. In the United States, food waste and packaging account for nearly half of the material sent to landfills. Wow, this author really keeps telling me about how there's a lot of trash coming out of restaurants. Restaurants from McDonald's to Starbucks started No Straw Mondays and limits on single-serving plastics. That does not help very much. A few restaurants are trying to get rid of garbage entirely. All right, so in that paragraph, this fact kind of stood out to me. So food waste and packaging accounts for nearly half of what we send to landfills. Wow. So about 1/2 of landfill waste comes from food and packaging. So think about that. If I get takeout from a restaurant, I order some chicken wings, I'm gonna throw away all the bones and the leftovers and that container that it came in. And if it came with like a side of blue cheese dressing, I'll throw away that package too. That really is a lot of trash. I never thought about it like that. All right, let's keep reading. All right, right here. Everybody's realizing there has to be a change, says David Johannes Succi. He is a co-owner of Fria, a zero-waste restaurant in Berlin, Germany. In the back of Fria is a composting machine. There's that word compost again. Any leftover bits of food can be turned into compost. Compost is spread over soil so plants grow better. Fria gives compost to the farms that supply fruit and vegetables to the restaurant. Wow, so that's pretty cool. They're taking the leftover food and turning it into something to help more food grow. That sounds super important. So I'm going to add that to my organizer. So these zero waste restaurants, they compost. So what does that mean? That means use food scraps to help more food grow. Sounds almost like a fertilizer. I guess that's better than just throwing the food in the trash. Why not use it to make more food? Okay. Avoiding food waste is the first challenge for zero waste restaurants. Doug McMaster cooks at Silo, a restaurant in London, England. He serves only a set list of dishes. That way, there will not be one particular item that won't sell well and will spoil in the refrigerator. Composters are important. Like Fria, Nolla, a restaurant in Finland, gives compost to its suppliers as well as its diners. Nolla also uses food tracking software to keep track of what sells and what rots. Right? So they're offering limited options. They don't have a huge menu. Sounds like they're trying to use only a few ingredients so they don't have something sitting there wasting, which makes sense. That's what I try to do at my house. Okay, recycled plates, lights, and more. These new zero waste restaurants are decorated with items that will not hurt the environment. At Silo, plates are made from recycled bags. Lights on the wall are made from crushed bottles. At Fria, wall art is made from melted plastic collected during the restaurant's construction. Nolla has gift cards made with poppy seed paper. Recipients can plant them in their gardens after use. Wow, so they're not just making sure that the food waste gets reused. Sounds like they're repurposing other things. So they use, let's see, bags, bottles, and plastic. So use materials to decorate the restaurant. That's really cool. So they're not going out and buying new things to decorate. They're using things that they already had. That's an interesting way to recycle. Okay, delivery packaging is a challenge for restaurants attempting zero waste. Major food suppliers generally ship their goods in boxes or bins that get thrown away after delivery. Zero waste restaurants work with smaller local suppliers. At Redora, bread is delivered by bike from a local bakery. At Silo, all food is delivered in reusable crates and bags. NOLA supplies its farmers with reusable containers. At Freya, oil is bought in buckets. So it sounds here like they're telling me that these kinds of restaurants are finding ways to eliminate having all those boxes and plastic that things normally ship in. I'm going to add that to my notes here. Zero waste restaurants, I'm really abbreviating here, use reusable containers for shipments because they have to get all of their food and ingredients from somewhere. So it sounds like they're using maybe a plastic crate or something that can be reused. All right, so I'm going to stop going back to the article now. I definitely have enough information. You will read the article all the way through. I'm just trying to be brief. So let's look at the evidence we've collected. Food waste has become an issue over the last 10 years. They were talking about how half of what's in the landfills comes from food and packaging. So the author started off by giving us some facts about why restaurants aren't necessarily great for the environment. Then the author started talking about these new zero waste restaurants. They compost, which means they use food scraps and leftovers to help more food grow. They offer a limited menu, so this reduces waste or spoiling food. They were using materials to decorate the restaurant, like they said paper bags, crushed glass. And then these zero waste restaurants use reusable containers for shipments. So let's think about what is the author's opinion about these restaurants. Well, the author really seems to think that in general, restaurants aren't so great for the environment, but these zero waste restaurants are doing lots of things to help the environment. So the author seems to think that zero waste restaurants are a really good idea to help our environment. So I'm going to summarize that in a sentence over here. The author feels, so this is their opinion, it can't be proven, one true or false. This is how the author feels. It's their opinion. The author feels that zero waste restaurants are helping the environment by reducing waste. So again, as I was reading, I thought about what kinds of facts and statistics was the author giving me? What kind of information did they choose to tell me? I looked at all the evidence and I summarized that and I thought, okay, how does this guy feel about these restaurants? That gave me this statement. So when you go to answer a question that says, what is the author's perspective about, this topic? Look at, we've already got a lot of races done. If you think about races, here I restated and answered the question. This is all my evidence that I've cited. Then you will just have to explain all of this stuff. How does this support my answer? So by taking these notes, you're really helping yourself prepare to do a races statement. So again, the author's opinion, it's not what you think about the topic, it's what the author thinks about the topic, and they show their perspective or opinion based on the kinds of facts that they decide to give you. Does anybody have any questions about author's perspective? Okay. So on Google Classroom, I am going to post the article that you will use to practice this skill. When you do this, I would like you to please create an organizer just like this, and you'll use that to help you do your races response in Google Classroom. If nobody has any other questions, then I will stop. All right, sounds good. Have a good morning, and I will see you hopefully at 11:30 for math. Good job.